All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our next lesson here, effect of emotions, and this is for our unit impact of motivation and emotions. Again, our lesson effect of emotions. This is for our unit impact of motivation and emotions.
Take a moment here to read over the objectives and standards if you would, please.
Okay, and our desired result, how can emotions be expressed and learned? Our vocabulary, emotion, a subjective feeling provoked by real or imaginary objects or events that have high significance to the individual. Again, emotion, a subjective feeling provoked by real or imaginary objects or events that have high significance to the individual.
So understanding emotion, we all experience different emotion or different feelings or emotions, but how do we express those emotions? Remember that emotions are subjective feelings that are provoked by real or imaginary objects or events that have high significance to the individual. I'm just going to squeeze the word "or" in there for you. That way you, sorry about the typo there. They are a result of four occurrences. So this is kind of the order of how emotions occur. So a person interprets some type of stimulus. The person then has a subjective feeling to that stimulus, such as sadness or happiness. The person will then experience physiological experiences, such as maybe an increase in heart rate if you're upset or scared or angry. And then the person displays an observable emotion such as crying or laughing, or maybe you clench your fist if you're angry or grit your teeth if you're angry. So that's kind of the process of how emotions occur. There are three parts to emotion: physical, behavioral, and cognitive. Physical aspects of emotion have to deal with how emotion affects the physical arousal of a person. So, example, it directs the body how to respond. So, if you're upset, maybe your eyes become watery. If you're angry, maybe your heart races. It's directing your body how to respond. Behavioral aspects of emotion are outward expressions of emotion, such as your body language or your tone of voice or hand gestures. So maybe if you're angry at someone, maybe your voice becomes louder, or maybe your voice you might have more of like a tone to your voice, an angry tone to your voice. And cognitive aspects of emotion are concerned with how we think or interpret a situation, which affects our emotions. So maybe you say hello to your friend or your brother or sister when they come home from school, and when they say hello back to you, you can tell that maybe they're upset or angry. So we're interpreting, when somebody comes through the door, if they say hello, we can tell that, hey, maybe they had a bad day at work or school, or maybe something happened on the way home, or maybe they had a good day at work or school because they're smiling or they seem happy or excited. um, so, again, like interpreting when someone says hello, if they're being friendly or not. So again, that's our cognitive emotion, knowing that, hey, somebody's happy, sad, angry, sick. We can just kind of tell that. That's our cognitive process of emotion.
Okay, so studies in emotion. Charles Darwin, the top picture there, 1809-1882, argued in the expression of the emotions in Man and Animals, 1872, that all people express, certain basic elements in the same way. Later on, participants were selected from 5 different cultures to identify different emotions by looking at pictures. Paul Ekman, I believe I'm pronouncing his name properly, his picture's in the bottom there, Wallace C. Friesen, and Paula C. Ellsworth, 1972. An overwhelming number of participants were able to identify the correct emotion from the pictures. So an overwhelming number of participants were able to identify the correct emotion from the pictures. Studies such as these imply that certain basic facial expressions are innate or part of our biological inheritance. Even those who have disabilities, such as children who are born blind, know how to smile or frown. Goodnow, 1932. They could not learn this from observing others, pardon me. It is something that is biologically inside them.
There are other studies in emotion. So Carol Izard and his colleagues developed a coding system to assess emotional states. They discovered 10 different emotional states that were identified by noticing different parts of the face, such as the eyebrows, the eyes, and the mouth. For example, if a person's eyebrows are sharply lowered and drawn together, that can typically symbolize anger. In another study, it was determined that the impact of facial structures in 11 cross-cultural studies resulted in universally recognized facial expressions of emotion. So again, we know that even just from around the world, we can see someone who's maybe Asian or African or European or whatever the case may be. We know when we look at their face whether they're angry, happy, sad, sick. We can kind of tell those things. Now, the importance of learning and emotion. Another important factor of emotion is learning. So James Reed Averill states that our everyday behavior is a result of social expectations and consequences. Averill believes that emotions are the responses of the whole person, and we cannot separate our biological experience emotion from our thoughts or actions associated with our emotions. I know that sounds confusing, so think of it this way. What Averill is basically saying is that parents will comfort children when they are sad and may yell when they are angry. Children then learn what emotions are acceptable in certain situations. So, think maybe when you're a younger child, or maybe even today, if you're sick, you're not feeling well, your mom or dad or someone else may help take care of you. Or, I know when I was sick as a child, my mom would kind of hold us or let us, lay on her, even though we were sick and coughing all over them or throwing up all over them, our parents let us lay on them. They would, hold us and tell, maybe rub your shoulder or your back or tell you it's going to be okay, and take care of you, if you were sick. Or on the other hand, if you're angry and did something, like maybe you broke a plate or something like that, or hit your brother or sister and your parent yelled at you, you knew that wasn't acceptable. So we learn from our parents or others that, uh, certain emotions are acceptable in certain situations. So again, caring for someone or helping care for someone when they're sick or ill is a good emotion. And then maybe raising our voice or showing anger when somebody does something wrong might be a typical emotion that can be shown as well too. I'm not saying violence, but obviously showing anger if a child does something like don't touch that stove, it's hot, or don't play with that, don't pull the cat's tail. We might yell at our younger brothers or sisters or people in our family not to do that, and then they learn that hey, that's not an acceptable thing to do from your emotion. All right, so I hope you have a great rest of your day. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, so our closure. How can emotions be expressed and learned? Think about the different parts and elements of emotion and of emotions as well. Think about how they can be learned, such as the studies on facial expression and how other parts of our lives can play into how we learn emotions, and that'll help you answer your question. Please try your best on the questions that follow. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and please let me know of any questions or concerns, and hope to talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.